lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy
As I
stuff.
said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
What does LionHeart mean? They line up 33 strong in his name. The drivers will compete on the most grueling road and oval tracks iRacing has to offer. And they all strive for one goal: to become champion. We'll witness which driver can push their car to the limit and find victory lane. You're watching the premier American Open Wheel Series on iRacing. The LionHeart IndyCar Series starts now.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Fontana, California, for where the third season running the LionHeart IndyCar Series ends its schedule off at for the season finale, and stemming all the way back to July of 2015 and through now, we finally hit the final night on the Season 3 season, and we're so happy to have you along for the ride for tonight's Make-A-Wish Drive for the Championship 300 at the Virtual Auto Club Speedway. The GSRC's Joe Pete getting us rocket as always. Myself, Evan Pizzocco, alongside Sean Ambrose, gonna keep you rolling for 300 miles tonight of Triple Crown action, joined by our director, JD Ahmed. Means that we're ready to go, Sean, one last time on the season. Hard to find a better facility to do it at, this racetrack, as it had in the opening season for these guys, and as we saw last year, guaranteed to provide us some exciting racing. We have 150 laps on tap tonight. That's a lot of racing, and at the end of it all, going to give out quite the good amount of cash and prizes. It's going to be a fun night to cap off what has been the best season of LionHeart IndyCar Series action we've seen to date. We take a look at the drivers right now. They are currently working through the bottom half of their 30-minute practice session. We're going to get set to qualify for tonight's race. 150 laps around this 2-mile D-shaped oval. Going to get us 300 miles start to finish tonight. There is still a checkered flag on the line this evening, and while we can't guarantee a Powerball winner, we can guarantee you a champion shot, and that is going to be Jake Wright. Got this thing locked up 1 or 2 weeks ago. Such a phenomenal season for him. He's already got it done. His objective, take home checkered flag number 3 on the season here tonight.
Man, Evan, welcome back, buddy, and welcome back under the lights here at California at Auto Club Speedway, here at the old stomping grounds of the Kaiser Steel Mill. We are here for the finale, race 18. Jake Wright looking to take a sweep actually this evening of not only a win, but a driver's championship, possibly a cleanest driver award and rookie of the year. Looking to wrap all those things up, and heck, one more win wouldn't be bad. Going to have 150 laps to get it done around this 2-mile speedway. 300 miles tonight. This is a Triple Crown event. To all of our iRacing fans tuning in live, what does that mean? Triple Crown means double points, 100% fuel. Man, it's going to be wide open and fast tonight. A little information about the LionHeart Racing Series. Registration is still open for next season. I got to have an A-class oval I rating of 1800 plus to register. All races are fixed setup, no fast repairs. You got to run what you brought and run it for the whole race. And, again, for these Triple Crown races, 100%. Regular races, they run 75% fuel. Again, registration open right now at LionHeartRacingSeries.com. Check them out. Big announcement immediately following the race. They will release on the website tonight. Next season schedule going to get started here sometime middle of March, late March. Lots coming up for this league. The MX5 series is going to be run on Thursday nights. A little something they're adding. Can't wait to see that. And the schedule, the full schedule's out for that on their website. But Evan, so much going on, so little time to talk about it. because, brother, we're about to go racing here in just a few minutes.
If the guys just now get it out on track to put down their qualifying lap, you mentioned speed. I want to touch on that for a minute because based on what we've seen in the practice, we're looking at times, over 230 miles an hour when you're out there in the pack of cars, and we're looking at a grid that's going to be somewhere about 15 rows deep. It looks like those are plenty of drivers that could put it in victory lane, and for the 17 races that we have seen so far, we have had 12 different winners, which has been a great variety. Still a possibility to add another name to that list as we get set to embark on tonight's Make-A-Wish Drive for the Championship 300. We're happy to have you with us on the Global Sim Racing channel through iRacing Live for this season finale at the Auto Club Speedway. And I mentioned that this has been the site of the championship now for the last 2 seasons. Sean making its 3rd appearance to cap off this. It's a 2-mile D-shaped oval, very much similar so to Michigan, instead of the fact that, well, we're going under the lights tonight, under the California stars. Lights on, traffic and all that stuff's going to get very congested tonight. Not only is a championship in the picture tonight, but it's been determined. I look at 2nd through 10th in the championship standings as well. There's a lot of that is still up for grabs, and we're going to be giving away over $790 in cash based on the top 20 results in the championship standings after tonight. So although you can't catch Jake Wright with double points in that conversation, there is still plenty on the line. So while Jake Wright can come into this and celebrate a championship and have some fun, these other guys are going to be sweating bullets just as much as they have been all season long.
You talk about those prizes, so much going down tonight. I mean, you talked about that $790. So first place in the championship is going to pay $150. Second's going to play $100. Third's going to pay $80. Fourth, $70. Only cost these guys $25 to join. And to be honest with you, that's a pretty solid payout. They've had full participation in this league all season. It's been a real treat to watch. They've got plaques they're going to be given away, awarded to first or third in the points. They've got a plaque for that Clean Driver Award I was talking about. And all the winners of the Triple Crown events get plaques too. They're giving away some hardcover Indy 500 books will be issued to the winners of tonight's race. So again, there's just so much going on here. Really, we talked about the cleanest driver, Jake Wright, looking to wrap that up. Jake looking to take home a pretty good haul at the end of the night. Not quite the significance of the Powerball, but I'm still sure he'll be pretty happy.
He won't object to it. There was also an extra $25 put up for grabs if somebody could win all 3 Triple Crown races. That's not in effect anymore. Jake Wright did get the season started off right, winning at Pocono, getting the first win in the Triple Crown Series, but we remember the double up in Indianapolis by Michelle DeYoung, winning on the oval and the road side of things. Michelle took home the iRace for Gage Indy 500, so that means we could be looking at a third different or somebody looking for a second win in these Triple Crown events on the season. Not only does the longer distance change the strategy, but again amplified the magnitude of this race based on double points. We'll be talking about that a lot. For the likes of Jonathan Francis, James Krahula as well, there's plenty of drivers that have to get some good finishes tonight. We talk about not going back racing till March. Well, the first step in getting season 4 off on the right foot is ending season 3 off just as so.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, everybody wants, you want to end the season on a great note, right? Maybe you've not had the best year. Your team's had trouble coming together. Things just haven't worked out. You've had a little bad luck here and there. Tonight is the night to make it all right, make that all go away, because after tonight, you get a little bit of a break. And you've got momentum heading into next season. You got to love that. Really can't wait to get, we've got new guys in the field tonight. Trevor Bissett is running with these gentlemen tonight. He's been practicing hard. He's in the league. Trevor Bissett right now sitting 3rd on the quality board here, qualifying, wrap it up right now, and no stranger at the top of qualifying. We'll talk about him in a moment. But again, we got new guys throughout the field. Trevor Bissett, they've all been practicing with the league. They're letting them run. Why not bring them in here and get their feet wet for next season? I see Ryan Bird's back, and we'll be watching him tonight. He's another new guy, And just, again, a lot to keep an eye on, especially the battle for the top 10. Right now, these guys are not spread out really far. I mean, you've got Francis sitting there in second right now, and or I'm sorry, Big Joe Hassert sitting there in second. Krahula only 22 points behind him. Robarge only 11 points behind Krahula. Guerin only 16 points behind Robarge. And on back, I mean, it's all in play tonight. All these guys are here. Going to be very exciting, Evan. But what's even more exciting is we've got the grid is ready, man. They're gridding up now.
The qualifying draws to a close, and for the final time on the season, we'll rack them and stack them and let you know where they will start. Take a look at the GSRC starting grid. You want to talk about being successful. Look at the back of the 27 of Jake Wright. He's got a bunch of stickers there, 2 for going to victory lane, and 5 poles on the season. Make it number 6. At number 27 with a 31.637 will roll us to the green flag tonight from the front of the field, and he'll share the front row, fittingly enough, with the number 1 of Jesse Vincent. Trevor Bissett, as you mentioned, the number 46 machine, going to start tonight in 3rd spot alongside George Anzaldo. Tony Larcock slated to roll for the inside of row 3 P5, and rounding out your top 6 qualifiers, the number 8 of Dan Guerin.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what. I just found my favorite car in the field. He's starting 7th. That's Ron Hacker running the number 102. We're going to call it a Lemmy, baby. He's rolling the Jack and Coke colors on that. We'll call that the Lemmy tonight in honor of the great Lemmy Kilmeister. And Joe Brandt's going to start in 8th right outside there. And starting on that 5th row inside, Big Joe Hassert. Just outside him, Jason Robarge in the number 79, last week's winner. Tony Showen will start the inside of row 6. Number 31, James Krahula is going to be right there in 12th, right outside of him there, Evan.
Could it be lucky, number 13 tonight for Ricky Harden, who starts from the inside of row 7. 14th to Chris Lini, Jason Galvin, Corey Connor, Christopher, and Michael Gray qualified through 18th position. Pete Edwins, Drew Motch, Michelle DeYoung, Pierre Daigle, Jack Bogan, and Robert Blue in the next set of 6.
Okay, then we've got... Ed Tutwiler going to be there at 25th. Vincent Blumenthal at 26th. Ryan Bird, 27th. Alfred Shepard, 28th. 29th, Brandon Lincoln. Mark Nobert, I don't see him on the track right now. No, I'm sorry, there he is. Mark has made it out. Didn't take qualifying time. He's going to start 30th tonight. That's a 30-car field to start this Triple Crown race, Evan.
All 30 of them are out there as we get set to close off the 3rd season of LionHeart IndyCar Series competition, and we've been happy to have you along for the ride through 17 races on the Global Sim Racing channel. 1 more to go. At a turn number 4, green flag flies the Make-A-Wish. Drive for the championship. 300 from Fontana. Green to turn number 1, and it is your series champion. That leads us, fittingly enough, as we get these guys up to full song. Already 210 miles an hour at a turn number 2.
Lots of good racing in the practice race last night. Lots of green flag running. Could wind up being the same tonight. This is an awful fast track. We keep talking about it. They got about a 38-lap fuel window. We'll see how these guys get going here. Michelle DeYoung already making progress through this field on a nice run. Leading the pack right now. He's looking to make up ground here. He's got right now in front of him Drew Motz, getting inside of Drew Motz there. And they got Brandon Lincoln following in tow right there.
And you saw as they came across the start-finish line to put lap number 1 into the books that everybody relatively grouped up. A lot of 2 wide, a lot of 3 wide. Some fighting going on towards the front of the field. Bottom of the racetrack going to be the place of attack for Jake Wright. He'll try to defend Jesse Vincent topside, trying to get something going. They'll be side by side still. We will see this kind of pack racing. There will be guys that you just can't get away from. But as we expect, as these green flag runs continue to build upon as the night goes on, you'll slowly start to stretch out, spread out, and almost form packs of sorts. So the key, be aggressive on the start, stick with the guys in front of you, and that way you're in that fight. Last time by, the top 7 drivers still within a second of each other, still side by side for the lead, and side by side for 3rd behind them. Dan Guerin trying to get that number 3 spot away from Bissett at a 4.
You know, it's funny. I'm just sitting here thinking about what we just talked about a moment ago when I was on last. Misidentified Pierre Daigle with Brandon Lincoln. We talked about it in the pre-race. Too many green cars, man. I got my green cars mixed up or as our friend Soup would say, I got my rods and cones all messed up there. But yeah, tracking Pierre Daigle right now. He's in 20th, fighting for position right now with Michael Gray and Michel DeYoung leading that pack I was talking about a moment ago. Good racing right there. Ricky Harden making a move on Pierre Daigle coming out of the turn. On the inside, Ricky finding the speed, making his way up through the field.
And that going on to mid-pack, and really mid-pack, not all that far back, just about 2 seconds off your race leaders. Nobody really fallen off until you look outside the top 20. Other than that, everybody else continues to do battle. You'll see Jesse Vincent scored in the race lead to turn number 3. Problem is he wasn't clear to the inside of the racetrack. This time at a 4, going to try to get a big push. Can he get in front of the 27 to Jake Wright? He does. So the outside of the racetrack, it's something that we have not seen a lot on the ovals this season, is going to give Jesse Vincent the race lead at lap number 6 and kick our series champion back to second at the moment. And now Jake Wright no longer going to have the advantage of that clean air. He's going to have to keep an eye behind him because Dan Guerin, who just got up to 3rd after starting back in 6th, is going to be on that gearbox sooner than later.
Oh, and Guerin will be a player all night, man. Guys like Flypaper, he just sticks to you. It won't go away. That Sinclair tractor machine hooked up. We're on board with him right now. Looking right over the right rear of Jesse Vincent, trying to get a run on him. The car pushes up a little bit. He's got to back out a little bit. Play it a little safe right there. Certainly don't want to touch that wall right yet. He's making a move to the inside of Jesse. Can he pull it off going to the turn? Looks like Jesse might let him have it. Man, Jesse Vincent back tonight. Certainly looking to run all 300 miles. We hope he can do it. Boy, I'll tell you what, I'm sure he'd be really happy with a victory. Only made a couple races this season. I'm sure he wouldn't mind a victory here tonight in California.
And last time we saw him, he put that number 1 machine in victory lane. Try to do the same thing tonight. He'll go topside this time. It was quite a pass that Dan Guerin put on him in turn 2 to be able to get the job done. A big run out of 2. Didn't lift, ducked it to the inside. That's what gave the advantage to the number 8 machine. So Guerin took over the number 2 spot. Vincent now falls to 3rd, and it's Jake Wright, who I thought was going to be at risk of being passed by Dan Guerin, was able to get in front of Vincent before this went down. So the 27 is now out in front of the battle, around P5 behind him, which has a couple of big names. How about one of them? Joe Hassard. He's gone 9th to 5th. In front of him, Joe Branch has gone 8th to 4th. A couple of big movers early on.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm kind of watching the back of the field here. We've got our first casualty, unfortunately. Looks like Drew Mott was possibly having connection issues. He has disconnected. That's unfortunate. I know Drew was looking forward to running a night, get this last race in, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to get back on the track. He has disconnected and already 3 laps down. Alfred Shepard at the back of the pack right now, 29 cars, still strong. He's fallen almost 9 seconds behind the leader. Although Ryan Bird with trouble. He's off the track and in the pit. Big trouble for Ryan Bird. I'm seeing some damage on the right side of that car. Able to do it without a caution flag. Good on him to get off the racing surface and get into the pits cleanly without bringing out our first caution tonight, 10 laps in.
And it's safe to say the push is real. He caught the fence in turn number 4. It damaged the right side of that car. That's why Bird is down pit side. You'll get a second look at that now. That is identical to what happened to Drew Motz just 3 laps prior. That's the reason the 26 got slowed up, and he was kind of shaking the car side to side, John, seeing how bad the damage was. And if you ask anybody that's driven at this track, they know don't ride the white line to turn 1 because you can get a speeding penalty. And he was actually caught with the excessive speeding in the pit area because he was trying to get those tires or figure out where the toe was, I guess, on that car. He decided to park it. So that was the fate of Drew Motz. And I think the same thing has put Ryan Byrne in a bad spot because now he's on the pit lane and he's actually out from behind the wheel of that car. So it looks like his night may come to a premature end as well. Jesse Vincent going to the red, though. It's going to be a positive move. Joe Hassard going to make a move, as well as Joe Branch. And now the next driver in line, Tony Lurcock, trying to pounce. He will as well, and just like that, Vincent goes from at one point the race leader to now at lap number 12, back down in 6th.
Got left hanging out there, man. Don't worry, Jesse will be back. Jesse is a cool customer, baby, and he's going to be around all night. We talked about Dan Guerin being like flypaper. Jesse Jesse even more extreme than that. So Jesse's not going anywhere. He's right where he needs to be, up front. That's where he likes it. Trevor Bissett started third. He's kind of just playing it easy right now, staying out of trouble, taking care of the tires. These tires will fall off if you treat them badly. They will get angry on you in about 15 laps if you ride them real hard. We talked about the 38-lap pit window. 38 laps or so is what we're looking at for a pit. None of these guys ready to come in. Right now, without a caution flag, we could go all the way to that window. Then that strategy comes into play. Who's going to do what tonight? But you're certainly going to want to take fresh tires every time you come in. With the speed these guys are running, you need good rubber on the car to hit that speed. Again, we talked about that 233, over 230 miles an hour. That's just wicked, man. Really wicked. And so far, 15 laps have been in the book. And Evan, I feel like we just got started like a minute ago, man.
These guys are just starting to get sorted out, and it's already at lap number 15, and there's still plenty of fighting going on track. How about the number 14 machine back in the pack? Pierre Deigel putting a nice move on Jason Robards that time, but at turn number 2, Deigel going to get to the back end to Jason Galvin, trying to do something with him in 3 and 4, electing to use the outside of the racetrack. Again, at an oval, something that we don't normally see, but if you're on the outside of the racetrack, it means that you're not putting undue stress on those tires. That's somebody that is playing for the long run. You talk about 38 laps of fuel if you want to make it that. If that's your strategy, there's a big difference, Sean, between going 38 and 37. If you go 37 laps, you're not going to make it on 3 pit stops. If you go 38, you can make this on 3 trips down to the pit lane. Any sort of cautionifying tonight will change that strategy up, but that could be a 3-stop versus a 4-stop call, depending on how this shakes out tonight strategy-wise.
Yeah, I went ahead and flipped over to Deigel just to take a look at what he was doing. He's battling with the Lemmy right there. Jason Galvin got away from him. Here comes George Gonzalo getting into the mix, looking to possibly split the middle here. I don't know. Maybe George is going to settle in. Galvin had to get out of the throttle going into the turn. He lost a little bit of ground, and now Hacker's closing in on him. Deigel's still there in the mix. George Gonzalo closing in on him. Great racing going on. We got 6 cars in the mix, all fighting for position right there.
There's plenty of them, and 3 of them going to go fight for the number 11 spot. To turn number 1, you see the white and red number 6 of George Anzaldo. He's out in front at the moment. Behind him, Tony Schowen. Bottom, Jason Galvin going to get a little bit tight. He's got to let the 31 go on by, and because the 12 burped it, now the bottom lane wide open for the 102, and Ron Hacker goes on the offensive. That not going to work that time. And you take a look out the back end of George Anzaldo's entry. He's got a good look at this because I'll take it being behind him over all of this going on in front of him any day of the week. He's trying to break away. Again, we talked about the packs that you find yourself in. George Anzaldo's almost a second back from Michel de Jong, who's the next highest driver in front of him, running in the number 10 spot. George does not want to be the lead driver in a pack. He wants to be the last driver in a cluster because you can go forward. Where he's sitting right now is not that good of a spot because he's got constant pressure from behind, and another driver will hop on board with. We talked about Michel de Jong. He's battling with James Krahula with that unacceptable racing onboard camera. Krahula going to take that spot back from him, and he'll kick de Jong back down to P10 after they swapped the lap prior.
Well, I can tell you, if James hadn't taken that spot back, that just would have been unacceptable, sir. Sorry, had to get it in there. Sponsor
One more time.
But de Jong showing his strength right now, trying to get into the draft of Krahula. We talk about guys not going away. Don't worry, de Jong, he's not going anywhere either. He'll be here at the end, I'm sure. We know he's good at any distance and any configuration, so I look forward to being a contender before the night's over. Just sifting back through the pack right now. Ron, I don't know what's happened to the Lemmy there, but she's fallen all the way through the field. He's sitting at 17th right now, starting in 7th. Just, I don't know, maybe just taking care of the car, taking it easy right now. It's really early days. Lap 21 just ticked off. Plenty of racing to go. We're not even close to halfway yet, but I'll tell you what we are close to. Pit stops are starting to dance in guys' heads, and they're starting to think about, all right, do I make it to 38? What are we going to do here? We're going to short pit. Lots to watch out for. It's all going to happen here in about 10, 12 laps. We'll get an idea what guys are going to do, Evan.
A yellow flag is huge in this race, and we've been green all the way through lap number 22, but the initial numbers that we were getting from these guys was 32, 34 laps. That puts us just a little bit shy of maybe 10 laps to that fuel window, but we heard the longest you can go is 38. If you go 38 laps every stint and you come down pit road 3 times, you could make it to lap 152. That would be good to the end. Now, again, if you miss that by 1 lap, though, you're short on fuel. 37 not enough to cut it. That would tell me that we're looking at a 4-stop strategy race as opposed to stretching that for 3. But if you can do it, why not? We have seen, you mentioned Ron Hacker maybe being a little bit conservative. I didn't say that he had the opportunity to go to the inside of Jason Galvin 2 laps ago and didn't do anything with it. So maybe backing it off a little bit and just taking care of that car. But now finally, as we hit lap 24, guys are starting to string out. They're starting to get some breathing room. And now you activate that ride mode. You just got to go, get to the pit stops, get that out of the way, and just ride. And you got to keep looking forward to the next set of pit stops as your objective, because it's very easy in a race of 150 miles at a track like Auto Club Speedway to lose focus. No opportunity so far early because things have been quite exciting. We're hearing problems for Tony Lurcock. We're going to take a look to see if he's having some connection issues, but not the first time we've seen that out of somebody tonight, and we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, Tony was wishing him well in the pre-race, and you know what? I'm seeing warp smoke. I'm seeing connection issues.
Oh,
and
he's in the wall
he's in the wall. Yep, he warped and got into the back of it, and he's in the wall, still on the racing surface. No yellow yet. He's spinning it down to the inside. And the yellow was still not out.
Green, yeah, we're gonna stay green, and that was a bad spot to get stuck in because we talked about the warping. He drifted up and he gets hit from behind by Michael Gray. I don't think Gray saw him, and I don't think Gray got damage either, which is good news. But Lurcock's sitting up there against the fence in turn 2. We've seen a couple of people come close there, so it's a good thing that they saw all the smoke and backed out of it, because that's a place where there's normally cars right up against the wall at a turn 2. He spun it down to the apron. No caution. We stay green, and he takes the virtual toe down pit side. So Lurcock going to fall to P28. They'll assess that situation. Not good news, though, for somebody who had such a good start to tonight after qualifying inside of the top 5 spots.
Well, here's the good news about Michael Gray. It looks like everything is good for our race sponsor here in the Make-A-Wish Drive for the Championship 300 tonight. Michael Gray looking pretty good in the race center, 888 there. Don't see any damage. He's still up to speed, 228 miles an hour into turn 1. I think everything's going to work out for Michael. I'm sorry, that was into turn 4. We're heading down the front stretch now. On with Michael heading across the start-finish line there in the race center onboard camera. Michael Gray making it work, baby. He is in 18th, just taking 17th away on a pretty good run here. He's not letting that little incident get him down. Got through it cleanly, and that's really lucky. Tough break for Tony, though. I had told him it would been nice to see him get a good run, but he knew he was possibly having some connection issues and might not make it tonight through this one. And right now, not showing him back on track. Looks like he has. In fact, I'm confirming that he has left the event, and that is an unfortunate way to end his season, unfortunately.
You mentioned Michael Gray. Well, he was 20th when that went down in turns 1 and 2, Sean, and the last time by, he was 16th. So not only is he not hurt, but he's not taking it easy to feel the car out at all, because he was hustling, and you saw when we rode on board with that race center onboard camera, slice into the bottom of the racetrack. He got the spot the lap prior to this, but away from Ron Hacker. Chris Lanini going to continue to give him a challenge. So the 888, the 92, they'll do some side-by-side battle down the front straightaway. 8.1 seconds, though, albeit behind your race leaders, well out in front of the field, and that is Jake Wright sitting comfortably. You see the gap between him, P2 and P3, as they head to turn number 3 at now lap number 30. Jake Wright working with about 0.6 of a second to the good, and in the clean air, not out of the grasp quite yet of Joe Hassard in second, but he's in a comfortable spot, I would say, Sean, to be at this point in the race, especially because now once we hit lap 30, you can't go 10 more laps, so pit stops not all that far away. I'm very curious to see how long these guys can go on fuel.
Well, let's talk about somebody moving through the field. Corey Connor, the old Tiger, man. That machine is smoking tonight. Started 16th. He is up to 5th, Evan. Just behind him, we were talking about De Jong. He's still on his march. He's
14
started 21st.
spots.
He's up to 7th, man. Dude is flying right now. George started 4th. He slid back to 10th, but I know what George's strategy is. He's happy where he's at right now. So plenty of pit stops to come and plenty of strategy yet to play out. 32 laps on the board, Evan. Here we go. It's going to get ready to... the magic is going to happen here real quick.
We're about to find out what the strategy play will be. Just how far can you get on fuel? It has been green all the way. And if we go green to this first set of pit stops again, you're looking at 3 to 4 stops on a race that has a green flag condition all the way through. And if you really think about it, considering the fact that this first run is almost over, Sean, for being 300 miles, these guys aren't planning on making this season last any longer than it needs to. They're hustling around the track right now. Very efficient and very clean, I will say. 3 drivers have fallen off at a lead lap at least 2 of those, if not all 3 actually, minus a connection problem, which you really can't control if you're Tony Lurcock, coming from single car accidents. And we're hearing these drivers going to be heading down pit side at lap number 34. That's going to put you in what's going to be a 4-stop strategy to the end, unless somebody wants to stretch it that additional 5 laps from right now. But based on radio chatter, Sean, everybody going to be dunking down pit side this time.
Pierre Daigel's in. Vincent Blutenthal's in. Those guys are already setting the table. Don't see anybody else making that move. I know a couple guys that come on the radio. Here we go. Jesse's in. So the dominoes are starting to fall. I guess the real question is now, who stays out the longest? Pierre Daigel just made his call. I'm sorry, he made his call. He's coming out. Pierre makes it out of the pit lane cleanly there. Gotta be careful merging back onto the track. Lots of traffic out here, really spread out right now.
They are spreading things out, which is good because you never want to have company when you got to get down pit side. These cars are very good at getting them mowed up for almost 230 miles an hour in the corner down to the pit road speed that they'll have to maintain at 55 miles an hour tonight down a very long pit lane stretch. Jesse Vincent get to blend back up on track. 34 is when everybody started to come down. We're now at 36. Jake Wright still not down pit side. And when you think about that, you're looking at a 150 lap race shot. Every time you stay out, if we're going with the fact that those who have already pitted have to make 4 stops total, every lap that Jake Wright, Joe Hassard, and everybody else stays out for, they're making up 4 laps that they don't need as much fuel on in comparison to everybody else to the end. So we just basically chalked it up and said that everybody has to make 4 stops. Now those guys that have yet to pit are 1 lap away from almost being right on that number.
Yeah, no, okay. Jake just made the call. He's coming in. Garen's coming in. So these are the leaders making that big stop.
Look at the drive from second. Dan Garrett just drove it in on the pit lane from almost 20 car lengths back, and I think he got that car slowed up on the line. Are you kidding me? He was a second behind him, and now they're side by side.
Talk about torching those brakes, baby.
Oh my
Big
goodness.
Joe keeps it on the track, Evan. Big Joe still out there. He is now your leader, and is he coming in? Here he comes. Here comes Big Joe. Big Joe is in.
So he's going to come in, and this is lap number 38 as he heads down to the pit lane. If you go 38 laps through 4 stints and 3 cycles of pit stops, that puts you 2 laps short to the end. But the pit game has definitely been dealt. I still can't get over that entry. I can almost promise you that Dan Guerin didn't want to do it, or at least do it that aggressively. He's happy that he didn't get penalized, though, because now he is out and he is right on the back bumper of Jake Wright as they blend back up to speed down the back straightaway. They'll get back out at lap number 38, and as all of this cycles through, your current race leader, Michelle DeYoung, coming down to the pit lane, Sean, at lap 39. That's the magic number.
I got some guys out here finding a little bit of fuel, Evan. Watching some cars get off of the pit lane now. Got my eyes on Brandon Lincoln. Pete Edwins just coming in. Eddie Tutwiler right there coming out with Lincoln right now. They're making their way back out on the track slowly. Gotta get that merge just right. Gotta keep it down there under the white till you get to the backstretch and then merge on in. It is we talked about them spreading out. It's a tricky proposition right now. Lots of action going on out here on the track, race fans.
So DeYoung going to blend back up and get back out on track. And it's a long trip down pit side. You're only in your stall for about 7 seconds to get 4 fresh Firestones and race fuel. Get back out there. James Krahula now coming down pit road. Sean at lap 41. That's well to the good for making this race on just 3 stops. That is 7 laps after we saw our first drivers come down to the pit lane. That is a big difference. We've seen strategy like this play into races though before, not only on the sim many a time, but in this series. If they are indeed able to make it on 3 stops based on our numbers, pitting at lap 41, Sean, you've got guys pitting 3 times versus guys pitting 4 times. Those guys that pit 4 times are going to have 1 fresher set of tires. Is that fast enough, though, to make up for 1 additional trip down to the pit lane? If we go green, again, this all assuming that would be the question mark as which strategy ends up being faster. You gotta love a little bit of strategy to close off the season. We've seen about 4 different big swings. A group at 34, a group at about 37, and now we got guys still just trickling down pit road at lap 41 and 42.
Yeah, we've had several guys decided they just want to just push it, but that is it. Everybody's in. Everybody's made their stop. We got 3 wide action right here, Evan.
And Jesse Vincent in the middle of it all. Top side was the number 4, it was in front of him actually. Good move for Joe Branch, who went top to the bottom, got in front of Vincent, got the spot. Vincent hard into the outside wall. He got really, really tight, and he nicked a pretty good lick on the right side of the team, nailed that entry, and that car is showing some wear and tear on the outside. At least the 4th driver that I've seen nag that fence in 4, and maybe didn't destroy the car, but it's definitely hurting him speed-wise. He'll lose his spot to James Krahula in the battle for 6th.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Jesse got to feel pretty lucky about that right now, to be honest with you. I mean, it could have been so much worse. That car is still under power with minimal damage, so that worked out for Jesse. Good one. We're still running green flag here tonight at California, almost 50 laps in. I said it earlier, the practice race last night was pretty smooth. Lots of green flag running there. Not seeing much different right now. Pretty good race going on here, Evan.
And what I find interesting is that Joe Hassert is in the race lead. He stayed out to pit till lap 39. Typically what we talk about at some of the tracks where we see a more drastic tire fall off is those who come down pit road first are going to be in front after the cycle of pit stops, because the guys that stay out there on older tires are losing time at a couple of tenths to a couple of seconds per lap, depending on where we are. Well, Joe Hassert by no means was the first driver down to the pit lane, but he executed so well that he is now in the race lead and in a spot to make this a 3-stop race. He's in front of the guys that still have 3 stops to go, and he's only got 2 to go based on the numbers that we're seeing at the moment. That is a veteran move, though, by Joe Hassert to map that out, and not only that, but execute on the pit line. I know we always talk about problems in the box, Sean, somebody overshooting their box or having some problems getting onto the pit lane. You don't really think about it, but there is so much time that you can lose and or gain on a cycle of pit stops. Perfect example of that is Dan Guerin, who is now in 2nd spot, putting up a good fight. Jake Wright to the bottom, going to make it side by side for 2nd and 3 and 4. Remember, Wright was 1 second in front of Guerin when they came into turn 3. By the time they hit the commitment line on pit road, Dan Guerin was in front of him. You do that twice, getting back up to speed, including getting down to speed, and that's where all that time was that Joe Hassert took advantage of.
Corey Connor, James Krahula, what a fight going on between those two right now. Battling for 5th and 6th position. Wheel to wheel, back and forth. James making that move down the inside of Corey right now and pulling off the pass. They, for the past 2 laps, have just really putting on a show awful close to each other. There goes Corey, ducking to the inside, taking that spot back across the start-finish line.
And you would think, you look at these guys and you're going, well, that's hurting them. That's slowing them down, but it's not. They're P6 and 7 right now on fresh tires. This is what you can do in these cars. You'll see in 10, 15, 20 laps from now that you're not going to be able to cross each other over every lap, Sean, but on the fresh tires they can. If James Krahula decides to just sit behind Corey Connor and not pass him, he's going to be lifting. They're not going to be making up any time. But if Krahula slingshots past him and then the 2 repays the favor, they're actually keeping keeping pace with the leaders, if not actually making up time on the guys at the front of the field, as opposed to if they were riding single file. It's kind of the reverse effect of a bump track.
Well, just seeing here, Jesse Vincent had to bring that car in, man. Looked like maybe just a little bit too much damage to ride around with. So Jesse has brought it down pit lane. We're looking at him now. Don't think he's still in the car. Trying to get a little bit of repair there. No, he's out now. We've switched back over to Jake. Tough break for Jesse Vincent. Had a great run going, Evan, and just couldn't seem to get a break there.
And I called it that he hit the wall hard, and I was surprised that he was able to stay in it for that long. But the damage is finally, it looks like, going to get the best of Jesse Vincent. He'll fall to 27th position. The only drivers behind him, 28th through 30th, are Tony Lurcock, Ryan Bird, and Drew Motz. All three of those drivers are out of this race. The only other driver off at a lead lap sits one spot in front of Jesse in 26th, and that is one lap down for Robert Bluen's number 48 car, who's sitting right now in the only spot active on the racetrack, not on the lead lap. So where does Joe Hassert sit in reference to, well, his counterparts? We're going to be 1/3 of the way through now at lap 51 of 150 from the Auto Club Speedway. He is 1 second in front. That's what he's working with. Between him, Dan Guerin, and Jake Wright in the number 2 and number 3 spots. And then right behind you got Joe Brant's 3.7 seconds back and forth. 5th place is 4.1 back to Michelle DeYoung. And then you'll find that battle we've been talking about a couple of times with Corey Connor and James Krahula just behind in 6th and 7th. Joe Hassert fared pretty well. He's out in front, and I think he'd take that. Again, we talk about big movers. Michelle DeYoung, one of them we mentioned, he has gone positive 16 from the start of the race, but Joe Hassert going from 9th to 1st, at least at this point, the most impressive, because he is looking like a pole car. He is out in front, and he is not looking anywhere like he wants to slow down anytime soon, actually slowly opening up that gap between him and the 8 car.
Yes, he is. He's got a stranglehold on it right now. Nice run for Big Joe. Hadn't been his year, man. Tough year for Joe. And certainly a win would make that feel a lot better. I know Joe had hoped for a championship this season. You know, he's in line to take second, finish on the podium for the championship. Not a bad day at the office, if you ask me. A win would certainly be nice. Would cap this thing off really well for Joe.
And if he could do so, he would like to build on to our list of race winners that we've seen this season. We've seen 12 through 17 races. He'd like to bump himself up to number 2 in the overall standings. He'd tie himself with Jake Wright, who also has 2 wins on the year. Joe Hassert took the checkered flag at Charlotte just a couple of weeks ago, and he's looking to do the same thing here on a different kind of an oval at the Auto Club Speedway. 54 laps in of 150, and it is old Joe Hassert in front of the field. Now you kind of figure out where you're going to be sitting. We talked about some fights inside the top 10. Let's talk outside the top 10 for a moment. Jason Robarge, the number 79, started in 10th. He runs 14th. You see all the calamity behind his black and green machine? Well, that's because he's got quite the handful. Michael Gray, Tony Shalvin, and Ron Hacker all behind. That's a 4-car scrap down the backstretch.
Scrap is a good word for it, Evan. It seems to be the story of this race. We've got lots of cars out here scrapping, beating and banging. Seems like it anyway, beating and banging for position. Looking at, just focused in on Jason Galvin. Got significant damage on the left side of that car. Good on him to still be finding a little bit of speed out here. That car is pretty beat up. Oh, just gets right up in front. Looks like that maybe him and Stouffer might have tangled a little bit, because Stouffer's car is looking pretty beat up as well. Rear wing damage on that, damage on the left side. No wing on the front of that. And Jason on the radio now talking about the car not handling too well, trying to stay away from certain bumps in the track not to upset the car. Maybe I was seeing a little bit of warp issue there with Stouffer, because looking back at his car, everything looks fine now. So, but not with Galvin. Galvin's still dealing with an ill-handling machine, doing pretty good to just keep that car stable. He continues to battle with Chris Stouffer.
And that battle shows no signs of slowing down as it goes on. If you want to put a plus or minus on it, rather, just about 9 seconds off of your race leaders. They go side by side, and very quickly, we look to be at lap 60, and just like that, now you're already halfway through your next fuel run. Again, that's a good way to discipline yourselves. We always talk about strategy coming into these races and how you got to conserve the car, but it's very easy to get lost in limbo if you're a name that we haven't talked about. So if you're a Christopher or a Jason Galvin, you're not slowing down anytime soon because you're up on the wheel, you're fighting side by side. The guys that these long runs are difficult for are more for the James Krahulas. The number 4 is in P6, and he's got nobody around him. He's 7/10 of a second in front of Corey Connor. If Connor can get to him, they'll fight. But at the moment, Krahula's next driver in front of him, about 2 seconds out down in turns 3 and 4. He's by himself. Those are the guys that find it a lot more difficult to pace themselves and be so consistent lap after lap after lap, is the guys that find themselves by themselves. So it's both a curse because, well, you're not in a risk of getting into an accident. Sometimes we see guys go side by side and they cut it a little bit closer than we would like for some of these battles on green flag runs. So while it's a good thing, also a bad thing as well. But for seasoned drivers like James Krahula, a good example to use, even a Corey Connor just behind him, who's also kind of by himself, but he can keep focused on the 4 in front of him. For these guys, they're the best guys that are able to handle this kind of thing. That's the unique element that these Triple Crown events present to us because they're much longer than the regular season scheduled distances that they're all used to.
All right, so real quickly, I'm going to get our director to focus on number 73, Brandon Lincoln. I notice it's getting late. I want to give one final shout out this season to Brandon's grandmother, Evelyn. Adrian, Evelyn, I know you're watching. Brandon having a pretty solid run right now. Don't worry, plenty of racing left to go. I think you'll do fine. Hope you can make it through the whole race tonight, okay? We're all cheering for Brandon. And again, like I said, I wanted to give one final shout out to his sweet grandmother, Evelyn Adrian, who is a fan and who watches every week here on the LionHeart Racing Series. So you never know who's going to turn up and watch these races. And we've got a big fan in her, and we love having her on board and watching these things with us. So Brandon, keep it clean, buddy, and try and get yourself up to the podium here before this is all said and done. We've got a lot of work to do. He's in 21st, but he can do it. We're going to be coming up on the next round of pit stops here before we know it. About 10 laps probably. Guys are going to start wanting to duck back in, take another shot of fuel. So we'll see what happens when things cycle around. But again, Brandon having a pretty decent run and staying out of trouble mainly. I mean, that's really what you want to do here in this race until you get into that last 40 or 30 laps, Evan, and then it's go time. Then it's time to start making up ground and maybe even to start a little of your own trouble. Kind of push your way through the field.
Well, we've seen plenty of guys going forward. You mentioned Lincoln in 29th to 21st. So, although he is 20 seconds back, it has been quite a good night for him so far. The problem is, once you make up those many spots on the green flag runs, we talk about guys kind of dispersing and falling into packs, then you're stuck 20 seconds behind. There's not a lot that he can do. So he's in the boat of hoping for a caution flag and trying to get back into the conversation, but there are battles going on all over the track. The thing that I find interesting is that the top 4 drivers right now qualified top 10. Joe Hassard in front started 9th. Your pole sitters back in 2nd and Jake Wright, and then you got Dan Aguirre and Joe Brandt 3rd and 4th that started 6th and 8th. Look at the names behind them. Michelle DeYoung, 21st. James Krahula, 12th. 16th, Corey Connor. Jason Galvin, 15th. Christopher, 17th. It has been the nights of comers and goers so far. And with every single time you got a big mover, you got a couple of big droppers. We mentioned Jesse Vincent, Tony Lurcock, those 2 drivers behind the wall, as well as Trevor Bissett and Ron Hackershaw. They've kind of found each other. They were both inside the top 5 earlier on in this race together, and now they're down in 14th and 15th together as well. So that first green flag run was not all that kind to them, as they lost about 8 spots each.
Hey, Evan, I don't want to bring the room down too much, but I just got word. Jesse, our thoughts and our hearts go out to him and his family tonight. He just found out moments before the race started that his uncle had passed, and certainly, again, our condolences with him and his entire family. Really tough break. He came on and said it was really just hard to concentrate. I can just only imagine what a horrible thing to happen. We'll get back to the racing here, though. Again, our thoughts with Jesse and his family. Yeah, Evan, still quite a bit of racing going on, and man, the pit window is coming up. I hate to focus on it, but man, that's what this race is all about right now. with the green flag run that we've seen here in the first stint, now the second stint. Oh, Big Joe coming on the radio. Maybe just having a little trouble with the handle. He's talking to Mark Nobert. Mark doesn't see him at all.
Oh, Nobert's in the wall. Contact!
Oh!
Joe Hassert gonna get turned from the race lead. Hard into the inside wall he goes, and Joe Hassert will get wrecked from the top spot at lap number 68 in the season finale. He was on the radio with Mark Nobert, and I think Nobert was saying, "I can't see you." And he stayed up against the fence, Sean. We talked about the problem we saw earlier in this race with the driver had connection issues. I believe that was Tony Lurcock that we were talking about. Got up into the outside wall in a 2, and I said he's lucky because there's always a car there. You're getting a second look now from the blimp. Joe Hassert, that's exactly where he's going. High side of the racetrack. So right there, when that car in front of him gets into the fence, there's nothing that Joe can do. And he gets turned out of the race lead, makes heavy right side contact first into the inside of retaining wall. It is such a large track that there is no caution, but that is the worst way to lose a race. Joe Hassert now 1 lap down, and he's limping the Arctic Cat machine down to the Gatorade area. Got to get service done. He's being forced down to the pit lane. Not only does that destroy his strategy, because now he's off the fuel game. He's got to make at least 2 more trips down to the pit lane. That combined with the fact that, well, he was in the race lead. That's a bummer for him.
Wow, it really is, man. And with Grahula still on track, that means second place here in the points could slip away from Big Joe. I feel horrible that I even talked about the guy and in a positive way there, and got my hopes up that maybe he was looking at a victory tonight. That car is in bad shape, and Big Joe has left the race, man. It was crab walking. There was just really no way he was going to get that thing repaired. There was way too much damage. Again, no fast repairs here in the LionHeart Racing Series. And you bang her up and you twist it up the way he did with that wall shot he took. There's not any recovery from that. And that's going to be a finish here at the back of the field. And as long as
not a 25th place car for the result, for sure.
I'm sorry, did you say that again?
He's probably going to end up, I think, 25th, but it wasn't a P25 car for him. And Sean, we'll talk about, we see races where somebody gets damaged and they kind of trooper through it. I think everybody on the sim knows that feeling right there for Joe Hassert parking that car, because it stings. From the race lead, he had the strategy going for him, he had the gap going for him and everything, and now he'll have nothing to show for it but a couple of laps led.
Yeah, and I see Nobert bringing his car back on the track, but I got to be honest, he's still blinking in and out and not always seeing the car on track. So, man, I don't know that I'm going to want to be around him at this point. Stay away from that number 83 machine. Could be trouble. Again, having connection issues. He talked about it before the race. He said to me that he hoped he would just be able to stay connected. Been a little bit more than that. I think that if he had disconnected, that might have worked out for some others. But, man, tough break there. I just keep thinking about the run that Joe was having, and now he's out of the race. Just a really bad way to end the season for him. Guess what? I have a feeling Big Joe Hassert will be back bigger, stronger than ever next season.
And just that last time by, you saw it. Oh, now Dan Guerin, the number 8 machine, problems for the driver, scored in second. The number 8 car, turnaround in turn number 4. He had problems getting down to the pit lane, Sean, by himself. Just either lost the car on the handle, but he just plowed the inside wall. Here's your second look right there, and he hits the fence, still doing about, I'd say, 150, 160 miles an hour still. That's a tough lick for him, and just like that, now Dan Guerin is out of this race.
And guys coming in around him, coming in to take their pit stops.
Big coming in, lap 75, right at the halfway point. That's right on the money if you're trying to do a 3-stop strategy.
Yeah, well, Jake Wright just brought it in. So Jake is in the pits, but some of these guys have stayed out a lot longer than that. Krahula, Branch, DeYoung, they're still on track, still leading the way.
Wright coming in for service. Branch now out in front of the field at lap number 76. He'll get on the binders, bring her down. I think what I saw compared with the entry that Joe Branch just put down in comparison to what we saw with at time second place runner who had the big contact just a moment ago at a turn 4 was the fact that these guys are waiting to get down to the pit lane, to get down to the apron that flat. When you get that kind of break up, that solid white line turns into white hash marks. I think Guerin cheated it just a little bit when he started to come down to the pit lane. And when you're getting on the brake, Sean, and you have your right side tires on the bank and your left side tires on the flat, that's what upset that car.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Keeping an eye on things here up front right now. Krahula trying to chase down DeYoung. Brandon Lincoln is in that picture, but unfortunately he has gone a couple of laps down now as we cycle through the pit stops. Robert Bluen just making a call. He's coming back out. More guys coming into pit. Robars just went in. Shallon. George Anzaldo coming out of the pits, making his call. Ed Tutwiler coming out of the pits. Lots of action going on right here at lap 78 of this race, Evan.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a full moon or something in Southern California, but it all just broke out shy of halfway. Dan Guerin has manually disconnected from the sim as well, so his night is done. It's Krahula in front of the field, which I find interesting because now he approaches lap number 80. And the last time that we saw that number 4 machine down at the pit lane, but he came down for the first time on the evening to get his first service on the night, was back. We were talking about the short pit strategy versus long one. He pushed it to lap 41, so now coming in at lap number 79, he is more than good to make this race on fuel if he can get the same mileage for the second half of the race. I'm been impressed though with all those guys that I was calling 3 or 4 laps short. I think they were able to stretch all 38 laps or so out of this second run, help themselves out. So it definitely looks like, Sean, and I was thinking with it being so tight, I mean 2 laps leeway, if you can empty that fuel cell out to the end to make it to the end and get this thing done on 3 stops, that a lot of guys would go conservative with 4. It looks like everybody now kind of wants to gamble, and I think everybody is planning just one more stop if they've already come down and gotten service in the last 5 or 10 laps. One more stop between themselves and the end of the race.
Well, Krahula is out. Really clean pit stop for James. Comes out. He is making his way around turn 1 right now on the inside. Pack of cars coming just around him there. But a nice pit entry, pit exit for James Krahula. Going to cycle back in this race again. And, we got 2 wide for the lead up front. Watch out, Evan.
And it's Joe Branch on the inside. Give it to him at a turn number 4. The Club Indiana driver going to go to the race lead at lap number 81. Got the spot away from Michelle DeYoung. You mentioned Michelle doubled up at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He won the Triple Crown Indianapolis 500, won the road side of things, and as well took a checkered flag at Road America. If he can get the job done tonight, that would give him 4 and the most wins among any drivers on the season. That is his objective, and with that move on the inside, paid him right back, and he passed him in the same spot. DeYoung going to go back to the race lead. Keep it in mind that again, at lap number 80, we're on fresh tires again. They're going to swap this top spot out for a little bit. You just want to stay in front as long as you can and hope that when that guy behind you's tires start to wear off, he doesn't have anything left for him. They're going to catch Mark Nobert at a turn number 2 and duck to the inside of the racetrack. That number 83 continuing to do everything he can to stay out of the way, which is staying up on the outside of the racetrack. So Sean, you look at what Nobert did. What he did was the right thing, is stay high, but it was a combination of the fact that he got into the wall while at the same time Joe Hassert was coming. It was just terrible timing, and you still have to feel terrible and think what could have been for Joe Hassert to get it with the retiration is going to be in P25.
Retiration. That's a new
word
one
now.
for me, man. I like that. I'm going to have to use that again. Retiration. All right. I'm in agreement with that word.
It's possessive.
Okay? We'll roll with it.
Okay.
Jake Wright running in third. Guess what, folks? Jake Wright still in the mix. Still looking for a win. Only got a couple of cars in front of him to battle. We still got a couple of pit stops to worry about, though. Well, I know. I'm sorry, Evan. We got how many? One more pit stop, right? We're on, or 2. I lost myself.
I think our leaders are good on one more stop. Because
right,
again, we saw Jake Wright pit at the halfway point with his second stop, so if he can get the same mileage, he was good. And I know that DeYoung and as well, we were talking about Krahula, they went a little bit past lap 75, so they're good. I'm not sure about some of the guys outside of the top 15. I'm thinking that if you were one of the guys that pitted at lap 34 or 35, there's no way you make it on fuel unless you can bust out a run of 41 or 42 laps, but I'm pretty sure all of our leaders are good. And again, we've been talking so much about the fuel. Fuel has taken over the entire conversation in this race, not to jinx it, but again, a caution completely changes the strategy. So not only are you trying to conserve and get your fuel to your marks and stay out in front and be calm, but I'm talking about guys in the packs of 2 or 3 that we've been talking about, a guy like a Pierre Deigel or a Ricky Harden, 8th and 9th that are next to each other right now and actually having a pretty good fight, 11 seconds off of the race leaders. Those are the important spots, because if we get a yellow, starting P8 or starting P9 could be a big difference.
All right, Krahula trying to make up some ground here. He's having to do it all by himself. Got nobody working. He's clean in front, clean behind. Tough position to be in, running 4th. Again, had a great pit stop, but just can't seem to catch these 3 in front of him. He's digging, baby, digging as hard as he can, but I'll tell you, it's going to be tough. Like I said, he's got no help from behind right now. He's pulled away from that pack just behind him. Trevor Bissett was behind him, and he's pulled away from him, and just trying to get to Jake Wright, Joe Branch, and Michelle DeYoung is going to be a bit of a chore. Jake making a move on Joe Branch, going to the inside, and got it really down low, right on the white line. Jake just letting it all hang out across the start-finish line. He takes that position away from Joe. But Joe's going to keep fighting up top there, trying to fight the good fight. Jake now got his eyes set on Michelle DeYoung as he heads down the back straight.
And Jake Wright is trying to get back to the front, but again, considering the fact that, well, he's now 7/10 off of DeYoung, who won the battle between himself and Joe Branch, and because of that, Branch had the fight with Wright, and it's DeYoung now out in front of the field. One thing that I find interesting, Sean, is we have not seen, when a pit cycle has started tonight, the same leader come out in front at the end of it as when we went into it. This pit strategy, not just coming down to the pit lane and when you have on your fuel numbers, but the interesting thing that I've seen so far tonight is it's normally the guys in 3rd or 4th that end up coming out in the race lead.
Yeah, it is. And, we're seeing a little bit of that right now develop. That top 4 is the race right now, Evan, as 5th and 6th have kind of dropped back, and the top 10 are all 10 seconds out. So the leaders right now really setting the pace, setting themselves up really well with a chance to win this race right now. Now there's still plenty of racing left to go. We're getting 10 laps from lap 100, 60 laps to go right now. Anything can happen in those 60 laps. We know they got one more pit stop coming. You got to hit those pit stops clean. You got to avoid trouble. So plenty of things to consider as we get now into the last really portion of this race. And honestly, in about 20 to 30 laps, guys are going to really start to get nervous, and you'll see some people start to make some moves that we haven't seen yet. Could get a little dicey. But what a wonderful green flag run. Just a testament to the greatness here in the LionHeart Racing Series. These boys are a real talented group. It looks like they brought in even more talented drivers for next season. Can't wait to get that started here in just a couple of months.
Unless somebody that came down to the pit lane and parked it already is not telling us, and at least for me, Sean, I'm not a billionaire at this point, but I do feel inclined, if the drivers have us on the radio, if your Powerball numbers are 08, 27, 34, 04, 19, and you pick 10 as your Powerball number, those are our Powerball numbers for what, $1.5 billion tonight, which has been a huge talk the last week. Pull over and go cash that and give us a shout out. But unfortunately, that's not something that I get to celebrate tonight. I like that we're talking about some of the new faces. We haven't really, we've talked about it all season, Sean, but there was so much talk in the first 5 or 6 races on the new guys. And then by round 7, they're not new guys anymore. They're part of the core group. Well, Trevor Bissett not quite getting the run that he's wanted, I'm sure, but started P3, got a very good qualifying effort, a top 10 car in the practice session for his first start, although he's 22nd, 2 laps down, an impressive go at it for the first time.
Yeah, having a decent run in that Honda-powered DW12. And, again, your first race out, expectations can't be too high. Trevor's awful fast, though. He's shown some speed in the practice races and practicing with these guys. He is definitely going to be a driver to look out for going forward. We talked about Ron Hacker. Ron's not been around all season. He's, I believe this is his third or fourth race. Again, running the Lemmy this evening. I have to keep going back to that. Certainly he has missed, and just love that Jack and Coke scheme on that car. But hats off to Ron Hacker, having a really good, solid run right now in the top 10. 14 and a half seconds back from our leader, Michel de Jong, right now. So he's got a lot of work to do. Now, talked about James Carrullo before, trying to catch these guys. He's caught Joe Branch, making a move on him right now. In fact, he's tracking him. Jake Wright about a second ahead from that group. But James on the pedal, got her dialed in. That car is handling really well right now. He's only thinking about one more pit stop. That's all he's got to get through for a chance to win this race. He did it last night in the practice race, and he did it with no fuel coming across the line. I think that thing started sputtering about 50 yards short of the start-finish line. Could be that same strategy tonight. We're going to find out really soon, Evan.
We sit with 19 drivers on the lead lap. This, about 4 laps now. We're going to be taking the 2/3 mark in this race. We'll knock 100 off. We'll start counting down from 50. And that's all she wrote in this Season 3 championship, as it's just about all wrapped up, but it is far from over. Michel de Jong in front by a second. Joe Branch, James Carrullo, Corey Connor are your top 5 runners. Want to keep everybody updated on the guys towards the back that are struggling in the most recent run. Robert Blewett is now 20th, 1 lap down. 21st is Trevor Bissett. We mentioned Alfred E. Shepard now 22nd and 23rd. Mark Nobert. Those are the drivers off of the lead lap that are still in this race. Dan DeGuerin, Joe Hassert, Vincent Bluthenthal, Jesse Vincent, Tony Lurcock, Ryan Bird, and Drew Motz are the drivers that have retired. Normally, we don't have that many guys not even finish on the lead lap when you have a race like this, but considering we've gone caution-free, a rather high rate of individual car attrition, showing you that for the most part, the mistakes that we have seen have been made by one person and not affected by somebody else. Can't be said for all of them, but it has been a very clean and I think well-raced race so far to this point at lap number 98. But I think that this final pass for the win may not come on the track. As I mentioned, it may very well come from the pit lane, passing somebody during the cycle of pit stops. That's what I'm most excited for. Say we're about 11 laps away from when you get that green light for being able to make it to the end. That's when this thing is going to ramp up right again, and when for one final time, that could be the deciding moment in this race. So right now, just maintain. I don't think a James Carrullo, maybe in P4 he's only 2 seconds off, but a Corey Connor or a Jason Galvin, Sean, I don't think they're going to win this race at this rate, being 6 and 9 seconds back. But if you're in the top 4 within just 2 seconds of each other, that's all fair game right now.
All right, and here's another strategy that could come into play, okay? You kept that car out long every time, like Carrullo, okay? And maybe on that last pit stop, you could take just a little bit less fuel to make it to the end. You're going to save a little bit of time, okay? Just a thought. Every second, every half second, every quarter second, every thousandth of a second is going to count here tonight as long as they stay green flag. If this field does not get a chance to reset itself, this next set of stops under green flag is going to be something to watch, folks.
It's a waiting game. Who goes first? Do you want to be the first driver to come down to the pit lane, or do you wait for somebody else to show their cards before you attack? 50 laps to go from the Auto Club Speedway. That's less than 50 miles left on the season. You got to keep her clean. So now every time I see our leader working around some lap traffic, Sean, no longer feeling as comfortable about it as what I did at the beginning of the race. And it's always a concern, lap traffic. If this is a track that you're going to have to deal with lap cars, it's okay because it's relatively wide. There's some of these tracks where there's little to no room to navigate around some lap cars, but it is always a concern. Michel de Jong's got a tricky patch coming up here. He's going to get to Jack Bogan, Pete Edmonds, Michael Gray, and Brandon Lincoln, who are side by side. That's 4 cars about 5 or 10 laps away from him right now that he's going to be catching in the next couple of ways around the racetrack. not only may he lose time to Jake Wright in exchanging that, but he can't just throw it in there and kind of go, Hail Mary it, because he has to be conservative and not have any problems while he navigates that traffic. That could play into favor to Jake Wright. Let's see how the 27 navigates it, as the 101 got around the first piece of lap traffic, no problem, in front of Jack Bogan.
All right, so I just went back to check in on our race sponsor here, Michael Gray, in the Race Center 888 onboard camera. See if we can get that up here real quick. You know what, Michael? We're on board with you right now here in the Race Center onboard camera. No, not bad. He's hanging on to the lead lap right now as we come up. We start thinking about these next pit stops. If he can just hang on and stay on the lead lap, anything can happen. He could find himself up to the front before he knows it. Michael's still hanging in there. Brandon Lakeman's still on the lead lap. Pete Edwin's still on the lead lap. 18 cars. We're 103 laps in, Evan. 18 cars still on the lead lap out of this 30-car field that started. Pretty impressive, buddy. That call at 17 looks like actually Brandon just went a lap down, and now we've got cars starting to pit. You're not going to be able to make it here from lap 104 based on my numbers. Brandon Lakeman, he's coming in now too. So obviously guys on a different strategy, but I don't think you're going to make it with 46 laps left. If you're coming in now, you're going to have to take a quick fuel stop at some point. Haven't seen anybody, even in practices, I haven't seen anybody try to push 45, 46 laps out of a car.
And they're right at that now. 44 laps to go at the Auto Club Speedway. The next time by, does somebody get a little bit crazy with it? The battle is on for second. Jake Wright is trying to get up to your race leader, but he's having more problems actually getting to DeYoung than pulling away from Joe Branch. So the 28, more so than letting Wright go for P1, is going to make it a fight for second here shortly. The problem for what Jake Wright is dealing with now is he's in front of Jack Bogan, but the draft is so strong here, Sean, that Bogan's drafted off the back of him, so that made Joe Branch get a huge draft. Now the 28 car is there. He made up about 5-6 car lengths in the frequency of maybe that front straightaway alone, and now Branch is right there and in range to latch onto the back of Jake Wright and try to catch back up to him. So lap traffic actually working to the advantage of Michel DeYoung, at least based on the guys that he's gotten around so far. And against Jake Wright, Pierre Deigel, pit road this time by. 43 laps is a stretch, but he's coming down.
You know what? We've seen Pierre Deigel in the past find fuel that we thought wasn't there. So Pierre's one of those guys that always seems to have a plan. So we'll see what he's got up his sleeve. He may be gambling on a caution flag. I don't know. We'll see. Pierre, pretty smart guy. Like I said, I'm sure he's got a plan. Watching Michel DeYoung right now, working with Pete Edwins right there, just next to him. He's going to go ahead and take it down inside. Pete going to slide up the track, give him plenty of room to get through the turn there. Michel DeYoung again. Oh boy, Michel cut it right off in front of Pete Edwins right there. That was close.
He's not taking it easy anymore.
No, not at all, man. Almost took the nose off of Pete Edwins. But he is still your race leader, and now he's pulling away over Jake Wright. He's now 1.1.5 seconds off of Jake, and opening it up as we speak.
And normally you see the lap traffic hurt the leader more than the guys behind him, because the leader's the first guy that hits it. He's got to have to navigate it, and as little of an advantage as it is, the guys behind him can see what the leader did, if it worked or if it didn't work, correct it, and navigate that lap traffic better. Well, I was more so looking for Jake Wright, as I mentioned, to get to DeYoung, and said it's now a 3-car race for second, third, and fourth, with Jake Wright, Joe Branch, and James Grahula sitting 1.3, 1.7, and 2 seconds behind DeYoung, or just 0.6 apart from one another. These top 4 drivers are going to be the selection pool, I say, from who's going to win this race if we stay green. The pool, I'd say it's now open. Come on down to the pit lane, because I think you're going to be able to make it on gas from this point on. 39 laps to go. That's the magic number. Now it's just a question of when.
Yes, sir. It's not if, it's when. And certainly interested to see who's going to blink first. We're in that window. You know you can make it now. So any lap, you can come down and top this thing off. Honestly, a caution would be a bad thing at this point, I think, Evan.
Yeah, the guys 5th on back wouldn't object to it, but the top 4 right now have played the strategy cards perfectly that they would, needless to say, be more than disappointed if this race is to have a caution flag late. 113 now is in the works. DeYoung, Wright, Branch, Krahula, they continue to stay straight face. Nobody down pit side quite yet. If I'm James Krahula, though, I want to pit, and I want to pit now because he has lost 0.4 of a second in the last 2 laps. He can't keep slipping.
Man, we are on pace to travel 300 miles in just under an hour and a half.
We're looking at like an
amazing.
hour and 15 minutes or so the way we're going now.
Yeah, and Jake Wright making that move. Here comes Jake Wright down the pit lane. Got the car in clean. Ed Tutwiler just made his call. He's coming in. Jake again.
I like the call for
good
Jake
entry.
Wright coming in first. I like it.
Yep.
Question is, how long do Michelle DeYoung, Joe Branch, James Krahula wait? They sit 1, 2, 3 right now. DeYoung not coming in, Branch not coming in, neither is Krahula. So the 101, the 28, and the 4 out front still stay out at lap 114.
Branch just came in. Joe is in. All right, there goes Jake. He's away.
So he'll exit the pit lane just as Joe Branch begins to crawl down the pit lane. That'll give us a good look of where they'll end up. But again, Jake Wright was not in the race lead when he came down pit road. So if he can get to the top spot, it'll be a big accomplishment for him. I've only seen 2 or 3 passes that were able to maintain themselves over the course of a run, passes for the race lead tonight. Other than that, it has been made on the pit lane. So Wright's completed service. Joe Branch is now exiting pit road. Michelle DeYoung is down for service. The 101 is in for the final time, and I would expect as James Krahula stays out, he'll be in this time, if not the next.
All right, so Jake Wright on that pit stop. In case anybody wanted to know what he did, that was an 11-second pit stop. Let's see here what the rest of these guys can do. DeYoung still in the pit. And it looks like he took a little bit less fuel. He's exiting. 10.4 second. 10.4 second stop there for Michelle DeYoung.
Krahula was the one that I said I think he should have pit first because he started to slide back. He is still out in the race lead at lap number 117. He has had by far the best fuel mileage tonight, Sean. He'll just run this thing dry and stay down, and if his numbers are correct, you talk about guys taking less fuel, he can knock a second or 2 at a stretch off of his pit stop time if he runs this dry again. He went 41, we said 39, 38 on the long end. He went 41 laps on that first tank of gas. He has had exceptional fuel mileage. He's going to go 120 laps almost on just 2 refuels of fuel. He'll be coming down pit road. Not yet. He stays out. So what he's doing now is, you could argue he's losing time, but I think what he's doing is he's hoping to come down and take more of a splash and go than a full service stop.
I really don't know that he's losing much time. The car is up to full speed, man. If he's in any disadvantage, he's not working with anybody. But the car is still awful fast, and he just made the call. He's coming in. He's got to short fuel that car. I know it. He has to. I mean, he's got plenty of wiggle room here to work with. So he is going to save about a second on this stop. He'll get the time here in just a moment as Krahula makes his way in. Nice clean entry. Oh, what happened?
Did he get the wall? He got tight. He locked him up. And I believe James Krahula on the aggressive pit entry caught the pit road wall. Question is, how much time does that cost him? How much damage does that give him? Here's a second look.
He's wrinkled up on the right side there. Pretty good, Evan.
Can you stay in and get that fixed, or you have to go unless you take away that 2 seconds that you were going to be able to make up to get some damages repaired? He's in the stall. The car is going to be put back down, and He sits in there for a long stop
Nope.
for James Grahula. That is either damage repair, if not a penalty as well, for how hot he was coming in. And for James Grahula having the fuel mileage, the last stop bites him well over the time that would put him out in front.
Oof. Yeah, that killed him there, Evan. That was a 25.2 second pit stop.
Ugh.
That's just not going to cut it. That's double what everybody else, over double what everybody else had put out there on that last round of pit stops.
And he
break
did
for
stay in
Grahula.
to get it fixed as well. So the car looks a lot better, but at the expense of 15 seconds, unless he gets a yellow, it's not going to help him out much. And I believe it was for a speeding penalty on his way into the pit lane why he had to sit down there.
Boy, you have such a great run going like that. Your strategy's all coming into play, and then you bungle up the pit entry, and it just all slips away from you. He's sliding back through the field now as they start to cycle around. Michel de Jong sitting pretty up there in first place. Joe Branch and Jake Wright doing all they can to work together right now and try and just get to him. Maybe make this a 3-car battle before this race is over. But, brother, it's go time. We've got less than 30 laps to go. If you've been thinking about it, well, you better move because it's time to go.
Yeah, there's no more, let me set up, let me get a couple of more spots and then go for it. If you don't like where you're sitting right now, that's your fault because you got less than 30 laps to go. It is the final push on the season, and the best battle we're seeing inside the top 5 is the fight for second right now. And although it was Jake Wright who pitted first amongst your 4 leaders that I said would be in the conversation to look at, only time tonight, Sean, the guy that kicked off the cycle of pit stops, leads after the cycle of pit stops. It's Michel de Jong, and he picked up 2 seconds on the nearest car. Good stop by the 101.
Tell you what, man, every time Michel de Jong has been on the track this season, you said to yourself, well, okay, after that first win in Indy, you thought, all right, maybe this guy's got a little something. We know all about his I rating and what he's done in other series and know he's a hot shoe. But, man, I got to be honest, I didn't know he was this hot. Guy shows up, and he just wins races. And we talked about a few other guys this season that have had a knack for doing that. But when it's all said and done with, I think de Jong just might be the king of the guys who just show up and beat everybody.
And we mentioned wins, 12 different winners in 17 races. If de Jong can get a W, it'll put him out in front of Dan Roper, who blasted off to a strong start this season before not completing the better half of the second part of the season with 3 wins. De Jong would get 4. That would put him as the winningest driver on the year. Jake Wright, not all that far below, with 2 trips to victory lane. And you look at a guy like Michel de Jong who can get the job done. He can show up, he can put the car in victory lane, but when he doesn't put it in victory lane, you look at his numbers, 4 top 5s and 5 top 10s into tonight with 3 wins. Outside of those wins, he has not had a lot of very strong performances. For Jake Wright, the reason why he is a different class of driver is he gets the W's, not as much, but he has 2 on the season. The difference, Sean, is the crazy number that he had 11 top 5s and 14 top 10s with 2 wins. It's the races that you don't win that win you a championship.
You know, while we're talking about that, and the impressive thing about Jake's numbers, we talked about this in the pre-race about the cleanest driver award. Jake Wright, through 16 races, 0.44 incidents per race. That's amazing. That's amazing.
If you hit somebody, it's 4 by itself, not 1. So you make 1 piece of contact, that's 4 incident points, and he's averaging less than half of a single point per race. That tells you that at least 3/4 of the races he's gone picture perfect.
That's just that's a sign of a really good wheelman. He is since he showed up last season. I got to be honest with you. Since he started showing up to practices last season, got the chance to race with him a couple times. I thought, man, this kid's got a little bit of something, and just all season, just night after night that we run here in the LionHeart Racing Series, always proves to be the class of the field. Tonight's no different. You know, he's looking at a podium, which, that would be 12 top 10 finishes, Evan, and what was the top 5s? No, I'm sorry, 12 top 5s and 15 top 10s.
Yep.
Not a bad year when you've only got 18 races to work with.
No objections to that. I'm sure a couple other guys I want to give a shout out to for good incident points and being clean drivers, averaging below 2 a race. George Anzaldo, Alfred E. Shepard amongst drivers that started at least 10 races. And then there's plenty of guys, which is considered a high number in this series, Sean, that have 2 incidents or so per race. It looks high on the numbers compared to each other, but again, if you hit somebody, we talked about the accident up at the front of the field, if you are Joe Hassert tonight, you walk away with 4, so to average 2 per night is still a great number, and that's considered high in this series. So we have been privileged through the opening 17 races of this series to see some of the best clean racing. Tonight, it has been clean. It has been green all the way. There's going to be 20 laps to go for Michel de Jong. He likes the green flag, and he wants to make sure that it continues to stay out. He's got win number 4 just about all locked up. 20 to go. That time by as he takes lap 131.
And we got a good old classic Saturday night sprint on our hands now. Who's going to get to the checkered first? My money's on de Jong right now. I guess that would be kind of an easy pick. Don't know that I get good odds on it right today, but yeah, Michelle just really putting on a great show for us tonight. You know, the reason we were talking about the cleanest driver and the incident points, I mean, they, you know, part of the rules package in this league, you exceed so many incident points, they sit you down, man. Ian Adams, recipient of that this season, and I think there were a couple other drivers that had a little bit of trouble. I think it's over 75 points. Once you hit that 75-point limit, then they sit you for a week. So it's something they value here. It's created a better brand of racing for everyone involved, and they certainly are able to keep things in check. I mean, guys are aware of it. They think about it. It's part of the strategy. Stay out of trouble. Race good with my fellow driver, and don't get a little too risky early. You know, settle in. These are long races here in the LionHeart Racing Series, especially these Triple Crown events. And really good show tonight. Everybody keeping it clean. We're 133 laps green right now, baby. And the checkered flag is just minutes away here in the final race of this season.
We talked about nearly the $800 that are going to go to the top 20 in the championship. Well, getting a win tonight not only helps your bid in a points finish, as we talked about 2nd through 10th almost being still all up for grabs, with tonight being a double points night to close off the season. But to win this race as well, in and of itself, for Michel de Jong, we've already mentioned, would be his 4th win. Could also walk away with an Indy 500 commemorative book, a $10 payout, then the Triple Crown race going to give him a plaque as well. Posters up for grabs for some of your top finishers as well. This is a big event. You look at the number. I looked at the number when we showed up tonight. 150 laps at Fontana. It's a long way around. I can't really say that I'm surprised, Sean, out of these guys for going green all the way, but I'm pleasantly surprised, if that's the correct way to put it, that this is the way that this race has gone, because there have been races in the 17 that we've seen so far this season where you get more cautions than you want, and I think it's good that this is the demonstration that these guys are putting on to close off the series. If you're looking at this and you want to be involved, season 4 in 2016, not all that far on the horizon, make sure you get involved, because this is what we're used to seeing every single week, a race that involves strategy and it has good, clean, hard racing, lap 1 through the final.
And race fans, we will be talking to George Anzaldo, Chief Administrator of the league, after the race. He's got lots of things to talk about, some exciting news coming up for next season. I'm not going to spill it. I'm not going to throw a spoiler out there. I'm going to leave it for him. George, certainly having a decent evening here. He did start 4th, but you know what? He's still right now in line to take a top 15 finish. Could still be a really good night, good finish to the season for him. I know he was dying to get into 11th or to get up to 10th in the points. I believe he was sitting in 11th. So we'll see how this run works out for him and how the points scramble out here at the end. Hopefully the guys can get those points up from us for us while we're conducting those interviews, and maybe we can cover how the points shook out. We're checking on Lincoln right now, riding on board with him. He's coming down into the pit.
And he had the same problem. not the same exactly, but it's the same issue that we saw with Dan Guerin is that he's going to spin coming down to the pit lane. This different, though, because that car was sideways before he got on the apron, and he came in hot and tagged the left side of that car on the inside of retaining wall, spun it around. That pretty much going to end his night. I believe he was short on fuel to the end of this one. Second time tonight, we'll see a self spin out of the pit lane. You'll take a look at the replay here, Sean. This one not caused by the apron. He just got on the brakes a little bit too quickly at a 4, and the car just lost the grip on him. And by the time he had it saved, he had pretty much straightened it out. By the time he hit the fence, he just ran out of room.
Ran out of room indeed, and brother, when that concrete comes up, it comes up quick and
very unforgiving
hard.
as well.
And yeah, it's not very forgiving at all. Yeah, you don't want to play with the concrete or the safer barriers for that matter. They're not nice either. Not on these DW12s. Brandon sitting there with quite a bit of damage. He's out of the car. Boy, what a tough break here with just laps to go. And Lincoln, who we were talking about favorably there, having a decent run, has it all come crashing down on him literally here in the closing laps with only 10 to go. And Michel de Jong still sitting almost 3 seconds to the good, riding up right now on Alfred Shepherd.
And he has that gap, so he's able to take it easy. I mentioned earlier when he was about a second in front of Jake Wright that, you know, while he can take it easy a little bit getting around the lap cars, you can't hang back. He can milk every single tenth of that 2.7 second gap that he has right now in front of the field. So he can take it easy. The last thing you want to do is force yourself into a mistake. Use the gap, take your time, get to the end, because he is with inside of the final 10 laps in this race from the Auto Club Speedway. Pretty much cleared racetrack in front of him. The next driver that he would find himself stumbling upon would be Michael Gray in the 888. And then after you get to Gray, Ed Tutwiler is the next driver. And then I think after that, you're not going to get to Robert Bluen or Chris Lanini, who are already at a turn number 2. So de Jong, it's looking pretty good. There's no heavy traffic in front of him. Branches have put in a little bit of a pressure on him from 2.7 seconds back, but it's nothing that 101 can't fend off. He's in a good spot right now, and he knows how to close races. He's been in this situation before and has done it. He's a seasoned veteran, and this is what he lives for, is putting these away.
Well, you know, Jake Wright is lurking, and I'm sure he would like to have second place. Might be content with third. Now, he knows he's got everything. I guess at this point, he really just doesn't want to make any mistakes. The finish is important to him. I know it is. Third place on this podium would not be a bad place to be, especially when you're taking home the kind of loot this boy is going to take home tonight. Really, just lots of accolades and awards coming his way, including money. And as we all know, money is a good thing.
Which never hurts, right?
Yeah, it never hurts.
A little bit of extra incentive to get across the start-finish line before lap 144. Now in the works, we're getting set to wrap up 300 miles of racing in less than an hour and a half. You see on the top left of your screen, 7 laps to go. It'll be 6 this next time by. But you also see it's been just an hour and 22 minutes since we took to the grid. It has been fast-paced, and actually I think the slowest part of the race, Sean, has been now, because there's nobody crunching the numbers and trying to get to the end, at least at the front of the field on fuel. We kind of know where everybody is at this point. It's kind of funny, then it's going to be the final 5 laps, the first time that you get to breathe.
Yeah, finally, it's like, okay, race hard, race hard, race hard. Relax. 5 laps to go.
Yeah.
Michel, again, the guy shows up, he wins races, and tonight is no different. Really strong run, man. I don't think Branch or Wright got any chance of catching him at this point. And honestly, yellow, Evan, here we are, lap 146, yellow would end it.
Yeah, it's too late for that to be a factor now, so at this point, if we do see a yellow, we would end at a slow to pace. The ultimate goal, get the white flag. An accident at that point would not trigger a caution flag. Going to take a peek to Pierre Deigel. He's going to be coming down pit road from the number 8 spot. Sean, I said 44 laps was a little bit zealous. Well, not enough fuel in the tank for the number 14. He's going to have to pit, and that goes into that thing where we go all the way back to lap 34. I said those guys, you'd be about 4 laps short every single time you stay out an additional lap. Well, Pierre Daigle was 1 lap short every single run to make it to the end. Mark Norbert going to be coming down to the pit lane, and again, I expected this. A couple of guys towards the back half of the lead lap, not good on fuel with 3 stops. Are going to be just shy, so we'll see an influx of cars coming down pit lane, but I don't think it's going to affect your top 5 runners, who I believe are all good.
Yes, they are, sir. And we're going to be talking about that white flag here in just a moment. De Jong still pushing it hard. And right now, all alone. And not a bad place to be. He's fighting clean air right now. And that's the fight you want, Evan, especially when you're coming on the closing laps of this race.
Lap 148 this time by, put popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go for the number 101 Michel de Jong, the Thrustmaster Honda, in front of the field. Just trying to, I'd say, put an exclamation point on the end of the season, but it's not like he's coming into this last race and making a lot of noise getting this win, Sean. This is a guy that we're not surprised to see take home a checkered flag, so I'll say he'll put a period on the season and issue a warning to Jake Wright tonight that going into the 2016 season that gets started, as we mentioned, in May as he takes the white flag, he'll be there to play just like he was this season. 1 lap to go.
Yes, he will. And I'll tell you what, this win for De Jong is going to give him a nice shot in the arm in the points. And, finishing top 20 here in the points is going to lock you in for the first, 4 or 5 races next season. I have to check that. It's 4 or 5 races. But, yeah, you want to finish in the top 20. And De Jong certainly taking care of that right now by getting ready to lock up a win here, Evan.
And the checkered flag will fly, and with that, the season draws to a close. Michel de Jong, 4th checkered flag on the Season 3 schedule, will put him at the top of the list of wins in 2015-2016. Joe Branch, a solid finish, comes home in 2nd, and there was no doubt about it into tonight, but finally, they're going to be able to pack a shipping address onto the hardware and send it out. Jake Wright is your LionHeart IndyCar Series Season 3 champion, and we like to talk about stats. Well, he picks up this win, Sean. We mentioned it earlier. Walking away with, I think, what's got to be near record numbers, a 12th top 5 and a 15th top 10 in 18 races.
Absolutely amazing numbers. Can't wait to talk to him again. I know he's going to be just excited beyond belief. What a nice haul this season for Jake Wright. What a nice haul for Michel de Jong tonight. Really, again, just really had strategy planned out well. And as far as line and driving the track, there was just no issues. He was just silky smooth all night. What a race, man. Could you imagine this was going to go green flag, wire to wire? I don't think I did.
Well, we know they can do it. You always think it's the final race, it's under the lights, and it's going to get crazy. It did get crazy for some time, but it does go green all the way. The yellow flag does not make an appearance in the season finale. At Michel de Jong, he celebrated the win, but it is Jake Wright making the parade lap around one final time before he parks that car, and the next time he hops behind the wheel is no longer going to be in a comfortable position because he'll have to go and defend his title in Season 4. But we'll talk to your top finishers tonight. Not only is there a championship, but there are plenty other season awards to hand out. It's going to be quite the Global Sim Racing Channel post-race show from Fontana. We hope to see you back in just a moment as we get set to officially present our Season 3 championship awards. Back in a moment from Auto Club. We're back live at the virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the third season of the LionHeart IndyCar Series, is now drawing to a close. Round 18 in the books. And to Make-A-Wish trying for the championship. 300 goes to Michelle DeYoung, finishes atop the board in a race that went green through 150 laps and 300 miles. It was a spectacular season finale with 2nd through 10th and the championship being up for grabs. And as the double points night are calculated, and we'll let you know where everybody ends up at the end of it all in a moment, let's recap what was an exciting round 18. We'll take a look trackside to your GSRC race results tonight. Michelle DeYoung, I mentioned, took home the race win in front of Joe Branch and series champion Jake Wright, who rounded out the podium. Corey Connor slides into a top 5 with the P4, and Jason Galvin behind him in that number 5 spot. Kind of quietly crept his way in and got that top 5 spot. Just behind him, a great finish for Chris Stouffer in 6th position after starting back in 17th. James Krahula going to walk away with the 7th and 8th for Ricky Harden, and Jason Robarge and Tony Schowen round out your top 10 finishers.
Okay, coming home in 11th. That's the Lemmy, baby, the Jack and Coke machine of Ron Hacker. George Anzaldo, not a bad run, not a great run, but he'll take a 12th place tonight. Chris Lanini in a number 92, he'll come home 13th. Eddie Tutwiler, 14th. Michael Gray, 15th, the last car on the lead lap tonight. We'll talk to him in just a moment. Pete Edwins, 16th, a lap down. Jack Bogan, right there with him in 17th. Robert Bluen, 18th. Pierre Deigel, tough night, could never seem to really string it together. Started in 22nd, finishes 19th. Trevor Bissett, and we talked about him having a pretty decent run. You know what? I'll take a top 20 out of a new guy, and he finishes 20th tonight.
And in 21st, going to be Alfred Shepard, Mark Nobert 22nd, and those were the final drivers that finished tonight's race running on the racetrack. 23rd, Brandon Lincoln, Dan Guerin 24th, 25th, Joe Hassard through Vincent Blumenthal, Jesse Vincent, Tony Lurcock, Ryan Bird, and Drew Motz. Your top 30 finishers rounding out the field for round 18. What was an exciting Make-A-Wish drive for the championship 300 now brings the third season of LionHeart IndyCar action to a close. And we're going to talk to some of your finishers that I'm caught up pit side with the driver that comes home tonight in P15, Michael Gray, behind the wheel of the 888 Race Center entry. Michael, congrats to you. It was a long race to finish on the lead lap in this one. It was a fight of attrition for sure. Good starting spot for you inside of the top 20. How was the race from behind the wheel? Because you guys did not get a break at all for 300 miles.
Let me tell you, it was tough. As you said, starting 18th, with so many cars on the lead lap, it was quite busy, especially with the push. I mean, on the high side, you had clear air, you was pushing no matter what. Even with a car on your left-hand side or right-hand side, it was still scary. But it was such a fun race. We were really hoping for a caution. Well, I was hoping for a caution. It was so much fun. Glad you guys could have covered every single race. Looking forward to see you next year.
We were happy to bring all 18 races through, and we look forward to next season. It is a tough race, but, we were expecting, and based on what we saw with you guys as well, we expected you guys to be able to go green all the way in this one, and you did, and especially everything considered with a lot of points and a lot of prizes on the line. I think that everybody handled themselves very well. There was a couple of trying times during pit stops where things got exciting. It was a pretty close call making this race on stops, but it looks like for the most part, everybody gets away with the 3-stop strategy. How much of a concern was that for you?
Well, with Michael and Jake, Mikkel and Jake just being so fast, it was such nervous. It was nerve-wracking because you knew that if you made a pit stop and it was a horrible pit stop, it was going to be a lap down. And with so many cars gone, but we were keeping it clean, you wouldn't have gotten your lap back. So it was very nerve-wracking. I mean, I'm sweating all over because it was that nerve-wracking, especially coming onto pit road and you have cars in front of you, behind you. You try and call out, but it's that easy, but it's, oh my, it's just terrifying. But fun. It was great. It was so great.
It was fun for us to watch as well. Longest race of the season, right up there with the Indy 500, at least not quite 500 miles, but it took a long time to get through this one as the third Triple Crown race. And it was an exciting race, and I want to thank you and Race Center, Michael, for being a part of making tonight's race possible. I know we rode on board with you a couple of times with the Race Center onboard camera. Season 4 is not all that far away, but you guys get some well-deserved downtime on Wednesday evenings for a little bit, and then we'll get back to business. Before we let you take that quick vacation while we got you, who do you want to thank for making this season so successful for you and the team?
Obviously, I would like to thank Jesse, Vincent, the guys at Team Nailed It for putting up with my antics. Having so much fun with them. I mean, I look forward to being part of Team Nailed It for next season. The sponsors, Race Center, a great place, and also Rooster Teeth on the car. Absolutely big fans of them. I would like to thank those guys, and obviously, an old shout out. I'm pretty sure the guys will hate me for this, but Justin Laxton for the paint scheme back in I think it was April. I would like to give a shout out to him for his Overdrive graphics paint scheme. Fantastic. And obviously you guys for the great, fantastic broadcasts.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a fun 18 races. It's been fun now through 2 seasons, and we look forward to seeing you and the guys out next season. So I'm sure we'll hear from you all, but enjoy the 2 months or so off that you guys have, and we'll see you once again when we get back at it in March on Wednesday nights when we get set for business. So again, congratulations, Michael, on a good run tonight, a good run on the season, and we wish you the best of luck. We'll see you when we get the next season underway here in a couple of months.
Thank you, Evan. Hope you have a good one.
So that is Michael Gray, the driver of the Triple Eight. Sean, he comes home in 15th tonight and caps off the season. You talk about capping off a season, though. His 4th win comes tonight at the Auto Club Speedway. You're down trackside with tonight's winner, Michelle DeYoung.
I certainly am, Mr. DeYoung. I said it several times during the race. All you do is show up and win races, man. Congratulations on big number 4 of the season.
Oh, thank you very much. I can assure you it's not as easy as it may look. That was really hard.
You do make it look easy, man. I mean, all right. So what's hard about it? Fill everybody in. What was your biggest challenge tonight?
Well, as usual, I messed up qualifying, so I started somewhere near the back 20th.
21st, yeah.
21st. Okay, yeah, there we go. So the first part of the race, I was just slowly picking people off. Trying to get into the top 10 for that first caution that eventually never came, but I didn't know that. And then somehow I slowly managed to work my way up the field, and I nailed my pit stops this time. I think that was a deciding factor. I practiced them a lot, and that seemed to pay off.
Well, I got to be honest. I just checked in on the points. You moved up 6 spots. You just finished top 3 in points tonight with this win.
I know.
13 races this season. Congratulations, man.
Well, thanks. It's been a great season. I haven't done all the races, but the ones I've done, I've had a blast racing with the guys. And just because this is a great league, great organization, and I always like watching the broadcast too afterward. You guys do a great job.
Well, thanks for that. Now you're going to be back for next season. That's just a couple of months away.
At the moment, it's not looking like it. At the moment it's 6:30 a.m. for me right now, and I can't do that in the new year anymore, I'm afraid.
Oh man, that's that is tough news, man. Not even a limited schedule. Maybe pull the old Rusty Wallace there and run a limited schedule for the folks and let you do that last victory lap.
Maybe we'll see. I certainly want to because, like I said, I'm having loads of fun here.
Well, it's been loads of fun watching you, and again, just a really solid run tonight. I know you said it was a lot of effort, but you certainly made it look effortless, sir. Congratulations on your top 3. That's going to put you in a whole other prize bracket there. Long season, only 13 races for you, but is there anybody you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank Thrustmaster for sponsoring us, and well, I already thanked you guys, so I'm not going to do that again. I'd like to thank George Anzalo for helping me out, getting me in, and yeah, everybody who's involved with the league. I had a great season and so much fun. So thank you all.
Well, thank you. And again, great season, great finish, 4 wins. Nobody tops that this season. You did it. You did it on two circle tracks and two oval. All right, yeah, 2 road courses. So, what a season, man! Again, congratulations on the win tonight, on your 3rd place in the points. And I really hope we see you back next season.
Thanks. I hope so too. See you guys.
All right, that was Michelle DeYoung, our race winner. Real quickly, we're going to bring Joe Branch in. Joe finished 2nd tonight. Want to acknowledge him, get Joe in here real quick, talk to him about the race, and just see how things went. Joe, are you with us? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. How's it going?
All right, Joe. Hey, great job tonight, man. 2nd place finish. You started 8th. Lots of work to do out there. There was lots of moving around, a lot of pit strategy being played out. How did it all work out for you?
Yeah, it was 150 laps, just driving your butt off. It was tough, but Michelle's just awesome on pit in, pit out. We've seen that in multiple races, both in this series and in others official series and stuff like that. I don't know how he does it. Every time I try to push myself, I almost wreck or speed in the pits or something else. So, damn, that's how you win the race.
Yeah, he did seem to be really hooked up tonight, but hey, man, not a bad night for you at all in that Verizon Galaxy S6 machine. Just an awesome run. I know you're looking forward to next season. I don't know. Let me ask now. Are you going to be back next season, Joe?
I think so. I don't know if they've decided on a time. Sometimes that decides what I can do race wise, but um, yeah, I like running the series. I like having a fixed option. I do a lot of open stuff, so it's fun for something different. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what's going on.
Well, hey, listen, for what it's worth, you managed to make 15 of these races, and you know what? It puts you 4th in the overall championship. You were just really just points away, 12 points, no, 17 points back of Michel DeYoung. He doesn't get that win, and you do, then obviously you're looking at being on the podium here for the championship. So, some advice to you: make it back next season. We'd love to see you back. And before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank tonight for this run this season?
Oh yeah, thank George for putting on the season. It's a fun series. He's got a good thing going. Anybody that helps out with series and my sponsor Verizon. I know what it's like to run a series. I actually got one coming up. You might see some big announcements coming soon. Watch the press waves, but yeah, we got some good things coming.
All right, Joe. Well, hey, thanks for taking a moment to come on in with us. We do look forward to seeing you back next season. Again, congratulations on a great run tonight. 2nd place. We will see you down the road, sir.
Thank you.
And that was Joe Branch, your 2nd place finisher tonight. Nice podium run for him. Does it from 8th place, comes back and gets a 2nd tonight. Evan, I believe we've got Jake Wright on cue and George Anzalo. We're going to bring both of them in, talk to them about this great season, and I think it's time to start dishing out some hardware.
Although it was determined prior to tonight, in running round 18 for the drive of the 27, it was more so a formality. You can finally put the packing slip, I said, on the hardware and get it out to this guy who deserved it. Jake Wright, the Season 3 champion in the LionHeart IndyCar Series, and to now officially present him with that title. I'm going to pass things over to George Anzaldo. George?
Jake, on behalf of the whole league, all the admins and everyone that helped run the series, I'd like to congratulate you on an amazing season and present you with the Season 3 championship. Congratulations.
Thanks, George. It's been a very fun season. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. As well, you guys already know that Jake has been amazingly clean finishing out the season here with 7 incidents, 0.44 per race. And with that, you're also being awarded the Cleanest Driver Award. And on top of that, you're also receiving the Dan Weldon Rookie of the Season Award that's being presented by the Kart Retro Series. So again, I'd like to congratulate you. You've been a real asset to the series. We can't thank you enough for what you brought to this league. So with that, I congratulate you.
Thanks. I've had a lot of fun here.
George, I can't help but feel like you just won the Showcase Showdown, man. That's a lot of hardware right there, man.
He brought it in, so it's he did a great job. I can't be happier with the way we finished out this finale. What a great way to end the season.
Yeah, it really is. And, we talked about the payouts and all the money that was at stake tonight. Jake got to go home with a pretty heavy pocket, isn't he?
Yeah, that's correct. The purse for the championship was $150, and then he's taken home another additional $25 for the Rookie of the Season. There's obviously some other prizes and things. So yeah, Jake, again, congratulations, great job.
We talked about tonight's race, guys, a couple of times, and a couple of things we thought were interesting. One, it goes green all the way, which we thought was fitting. And Jake, you don't win this race, but I also thought that was somewhat fitting as well, because you got 2 wins, but the thing that, you blew everybody else out of the water on this season was the consistency. We talked about how it's the races that you don't win that win you the championship. Well, tonight with the P3 finish that you got after qualifying on pole, which, by the way, your 6th pole on the season, 12th top 5, 15th top 10, I'm sure you like the sound of those numbers. How were you able, though, to be so consistent at so many kinds of different tracks throughout the entire season? Because you didn't get the most wins. There were guys that put up challenges, but in the end, nothing they could do could get anywhere close to those numbers.
I honestly don't know. I think just being able to not be involved in any wrecks and just being able to finish where I feel I should without pushing it too hard is what's gotten me here.
Well, I think tonight was a good representation of that, the P3 finish for you. Coming into this season, what were your expectations? If we told you back in July that you'd wrap up the championship about 2 weeks in advance and you'd have double the top 5s and almost double the top 10s than some of your nearest competitors, would you have believed us? Did you think that you had this in you? And I know you said, you really don't know how it all came together. Sometimes racing is just like that. Sometimes it just clicks. And I think this season just clicked for you because, you put on a show every single week. But I'm sure you have to be impressed because we were talking about in the opening weeks how the competition in this series, now in Season 3 and as we look forward to Season 4, has just grown so much, and it grew a ridiculous amount when this season got started. These are big names that you went up against, and you put them down.
Well, at the beginning of the season, if you had told me that I was going to win it 2 weeks in advance, I wouldn't have believed it because just the level of competition in this league is insane. So I feel very privileged to be able to finish where I have every race and to be able to take home the championship.
So now I feel I already know the answer, but you guys get some time off on Wednesdays, and now you have a championship. You're a champion in the LionHeart IndyCar Series. The next objective becomes to defend that championship, to become a multi-time champion. So we haven't even let you enjoy it for, over 10 minutes since the season is wrapped up, and everybody's already looking forward to next season. We talked about how tonight, a good finish tonight makes that off season a little bit easier. Not as good as you're going to be enjoying it when you start to get all those prizes coming in. But how do you kind of sit back and look back on this season, take it in, while still knowing that the next time you get behind the wheel, unlike what you have for the last 2 months or 3 months or so, having a pretty good gap, the next time you get behind the wheel, it's back to square one, and you're going to have to do it all over again. How do you think the success this season is going to help you build in the future?
Well, it's definitely given us the confidence boost we needed into next season. But I think next season, since we've already won the championship once, I won't be as nervous about it next season. So I'll be hopefully a little bit more aggressive in going for the wins and just trying to stack up my stat.
Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to stack them any more than what we had this season, but it was fun and it was privileged to watch as well, Jake. I want to say that you and everybody else out there, you guys put on a whale of a show. We were happy to be able to bring all 18 races through this season. We look forward to season 4 as well. But it's been fun, and I want to congratulate you on your success in the championship. Before we let you go, though, and enjoy your vacation time and soak in the glory of the championship, I want to give you one more opportunity while we have you here. The sponsors, the shout-outs, the people behind the scenes this season, the people behind the scenes that have helped you out get involved in sim racing, everything that led up to getting this title and becoming a champion. Who makes it happen for you? Who do you want to share this with?
Well, like always, I want to go ahead and thank my teammates over at No Name Racing. They've been a big help, and I want to thank my sponsors, SurveySystem.com, and give a shout out to Overdrive Graphics. And to thank everybody here in the league. You guys have been amazing, and then to thank family and everybody who's helped me out with this.
Well, again, congratulations on your championship. You have earned it, and it is well deserved, and I look forward to seeing you have to squirm again when we get started to go back at it, Jake. So again, congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing you in March, but enjoy the championship off time and all of that, and we look forward to seeing you when we get back on track.
Thanks. You guys do a great job over here. See you next season.
That is Jake Wright, your Season 3 LionHeart IndyCar Series champion. Sean, George Anzaldo is a big part of making all of this happen as well, and he's also very fun to watch on track. I'm curious what his thoughts are on ending up what has been the most successful season, I'd say, of this LionHeart IndyCar Series we've seen so far. You're with him.
Yeah, well, George, I mean, wrap it up for us. What are those highlights for you here this season? Reflect for us for just a moment.
Well, just the competition level has been amazing this season. We've had so many multiple winners throughout the season. The battle for the championship came down very close until Jake finally pulled ahead. But as a whole, I just think that the league has just matured to another level where we're continuing to expand. For season 4, we're actually expanding the league. We're going to add the MX5 series to the schedule. We'll be running that on Thursdays. We're also going to be running additional races, so our season is increasing. We're going to 22 races next season. With that, we're also adding a few more road courses for a total of 7. So the challenge is certainly, the bar is being lifted, if you will, and we're just going to keep pushing. And just keep moving forward with the league. I couldn't be happier right now with the group that we have, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next wave of drivers that enter our series.
Yeah, and speaking of that next wave of drivers, I mean, you already got some guys lined up that have run a couple races now, and everybody pretty happy with them.
Yeah, the guys have been doing really good. We've got probably towards the latter half of the season, we took on approximately 5 to 7 drivers who joined the series and ran with us about the last 5 races. What we're going to do is we're going to take on more drivers, and not every driver is going to be able to make the main roster. Those that are unable, well, we'll have them run our practice races and get to know the drivers and gain that comfort level so that if spots do become available, those drivers will already be acclimated to everything that we're doing in the series. So yeah, I think we're going to have a steady flow of really good drivers in this series.
Have any big rule changes been decided yet for next season? Or are we going to keep everything just the way it is?
You know, the admin team has looked over the rules. We've kind of combed through them. There's a fairly good list of some things that need tweaking. We're going to take a good look at the locked-in drivers as well as the LCQ process. But yeah, that's going to come within the next couple weeks. We have our work cut out for us. We're actually going to be writing the MX5 rules soon. But yeah, you guys will have to wait and see what changes come. But it's going to be exciting.
Okay, you want to remind everyone real quick here before we wrap this up about what they need to do as soon as the broadcast is over here?
Correct. The 2016 Lionheart IndyCar Series schedule is currently posted on our website, so everyone can head over there now and see the races. We actually have, for round 6, we're leaving it up to the members to vote, and that will be between Mid-Ohio, Road America, or Spa, so that's going to be interesting to see what the members want to run.
Yeah, that's spicy. I like that.
Yeah.
Can I vote? Can I vote now?
Sure.
Oh, I'm not a member. I'm a broadcaster. Give me Spa, baby. Spa.
It's going to be exciting, especially adding more road courses. I think everyone has stepped up to the plate on the road side. Many of us are still, we're learning our ropes on the road, but speaking for myself, I've definitely enjoyed the challenge of the road.
Well, man, it's going to be 22 races strong next season. What a great season, George. I can't believe this is the last time we're going to talk on the air for a couple months. Hey, listen, you got your first win this season at Iowa. That was a big night indeed. You finish in the top 20 in points. You get that 11th. I know you were fighting hard to get 10th, man. It just didn't shake out for you. But great season for all of you. And again, just so real proud to be part of the league and can't wait for the next season to get started. I'm sure a few of you guys are looking forward to the break, a little bit of downtime, get a chance to breathe. But thank you again very much, George. And we it's been confirmed. We look forward to being back here for that opening race in just a couple of months. And by way of the schedule, that will be on March 16th, Homestead Miami Speedway, 200 miles.
That's correct, Sean. And we're looking forward to our continued partnership with GSRC and having our races broadcasted with you guys for until as long as this league runs. So definitely looking forward to it. Can't wait for the season opener. We're going to be busy in the off season. We're going to be having some races in the off season. We're going to keep guys active. We're going to get our everything sorted out and in gear, and we'll be ready for March 16th.
And so will we, my friend. And again, great talking with you. Great being part of the LionHeart Racing Series. Look forward to next season already. Take care, my friend. We will see you down the road and not too long from now.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Evan.
All right, Evan, that's George Gonzalo. Let's put a pretty bow on this thing and call it a night, call it a season. What do you think?
Let's just look real quick. That schedule, 22 races. Let's throw 4 more on. I'm on board, and it's on the website, so LionHeartRacingSeries.com. That's where you'll find all the information. Outside of Spa, which I know you're voting for, Sean, there's quite a few couple of new tracks, so kind of want to tease you a little bit. We won't tell you all about them. Make sure to go onto the website, check it out, find out more information. Hopefully we'll see you maybe coming to March, if not on the track, tuning into the broadcast live as always on the Global Racing channel. But that does it. We got kicked off in July through 2015 into the new year, 2 final races in the 2016 calendar, and now we're done. And we get a little bit of a break, which at 2 months is just enough time for some of these guys, Sean, to regain their sanity. And then we go back at it for 22 weeks of racing. I couldn't be more excited. And this league continues to grow. That's the big thing that I got out of the George talking there is the league itself, the drivers, but the league itself continues to mature from what it was on the season 1 season opener when I was out there on track to now. It's amazing. And we saw how big the competition changed from season 2 to season 3. We're going to be talking about all the same things we did back on round 1 of this year in 2 months or so when we get to March, because I don't expect this league to slow down their momentum anytime soon. It's been a blast, and not only is it well organized, but when you can go green for 300 miles at Fontana, you know you got something good going.
Yeah, definitely. And well, that new season is going to come up on us quick, and I want to take a second to thank our director, Amjad Yaman, who's been with us all season. Amjad, great job behind the scenes here. He does so much for us, keeping us up to date, prepared, and ready for the next shot. So thanks again, Amjad. Evan, as always, just been a real pleasure working with you, my friend. You make it too easy, man. Looking forward to next season. Can't wait to get it started, and thanks again, buddy.
It's fun. It's always fun, and if you enjoy tuning in on Wednesday nights, and if you followed us all season, I want to thank you. And if you're not following all the other series we have, then you're missing out. We're on quite a few nights a week. I encourage you to go to www.globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, get up with us on social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Check out all the stuff we got. There's a lot of exciting things. We still, as we wrap down, we still have the bulk of kind of the winter calendar still to come rolling forward. Plenty of racing still to come in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks. All of that information can be found there as well. But we want to thank some of the people behind the scenes as well. iRacing.com, XSplit Audio Technica Corporation, Avery Media USA, as well as the LionHeart administration team. Sean, we both have the easy job. We show up, we talk, and we go home at the end of the day. George Zandaldo, Jesse, Vincent, Pierre, Deigel, so much work behind the scenes. So, well, some of the drivers get to enjoy the next 2 months. Arguably, they're going to be busier than ever, making sure that when we get to March and we get to Homestead, we're right back on track.
Can't wait to get there, man. Can't wait to do it with you. And want to thank everybody for tuning in every week and putting up with us. It's been a fun season. It's been a long season. Guess what? Next season going to be 4 races longer. And even more excitement to come with more road courses in next. Love the road course races here personally. Again, I'm going to hold my vote out for Spa, baby. Take us to Spa. So, Evan, I'll let you close it out. And everyone, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next season in just a couple of months.
You'll be hard-pressed to find anybody that's not looking forward to throwing 4 more races onto the calendar, but we finished all 18, and as this series continues to grow, we continue to grow with them, and we are looking at so very forward to March when Season 4 and the 2016 calendar gets underway. But until then, that's a wrap on the Season 3 championship for the LionHeart IndyCar Series. On behalf of everybody at the Global Sim Racing Channel and our partners, want to thank you so much for tuning in week and week out. On behalf of, and I want to give a big thanks as well to Sean Ambrose, I'm Jed Yaman for joining me here. My name is Evan Pasoko. Thanks again. Congratulations to Jake Wright, a very deserving LionHeart IndyCar Series champion. He'll walk out with all the hardware, and fittingly so, as he dominated this Season 3 schedule. But we start fresh in March for Season 4, and we hope to see you with us on the Global Sim Racing Channel when we return. But until then, good night from Fontana, California, and we will see you not too long from now. Good night.